Freedom Session.
Welcome to the Freedom Session show on Deja Vu FM. Big up everybody that's inside.
You're listening to Deja.
And I'm the presenter, Freedom. That's my name. And this is the Freedom Session show. Is the home of just homegrown UK Christian music is what we play most of the time here. And we have talks. We have interesting guests. Last week we had Shireen and Andrew Morrison from Visions TV Online, and they're from a PR company, and also they have an awards ceremony celebrating new talents and stuff like that. And today we have another special guest in the building, Aaron Breach.
What are you saying, guys? Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Glad
my
to
boy
have you.
Freedom.
Yeah, man. Always, man. Definitely, man. Talking about just that relationship that we have is, man, I don't know how long we can go back, but we go back.
Yeah, we go back. We go back.
Definitely, man. Like, even from the first time I did Freedom Session, it used to be Freedom Session Live. I don't know if you remember back in like Kilburn, Northwest London.
Yes,
we had
I
this
remember.
little church setting, and we used to do like a live open mic type of event. I feel like that's kind of, maybe that's the early days when I first met you. What do you reckon?
No. It was even further back. Must have been 2014,
Okay.
I believe. Maybe I was just finishing up uni, or maybe it was after graduation. I don't know, but someone that we both know, a sister by the name of Andrea.
Oh,
Hooked
Andrea
us both
Adam.
up to her. It was something just going out of Croydon. It's like a open mic talent thing.
Yes, UK gospel night or something like that. I remember.
Yeah. That's where we met. That's way back.
I
don't know how we got talking then, but we got talking and yeah.
But your face, it was like something you always seen. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's like, if you are in the Christian music space or the event space, and you're looking at pictures or you're looking at somebody who's there, your face was always there somehow. I don't know how you managed to do it, but you seem to be at different places, whether it be Sunday Night Live, the event that you said we met in Croydon, my event, different places, man.
Yeah. And you know what it is, like, I met you there, but then for some reason, like, the name didn't click.
Right.
Like, I don't know how I found out about the Freedom Live session in Kilburn. I don't recall you actually telling me about it face to face.
Right.
Or maybe it was you reached out to me, I responded, but I wasn't matching name to the face. but you know what, God made it happen.
Yeah,
God
absolutely,
made it happen.
man. That's awesome. So from there, we moved on to the radio platform. We've had you on our previous shows before as well. You're not a stranger to our platform. You're welcome always. You're a brother, you're part of the family, so it's good, man. But yeah, so Aaron Preach, for those people that are listening and they're wondering what's going on today, who are you? How do you kind of like introduce yourself to the world? Who is Aaron Preach?
Aaron Preach, just, you know, he's a child of God, you know, lover of God, lover of people. Preaching Jesus on the beat to reach those who are lost in the streets. I just love the creative arts. You know, I love music. I love the performing arts, the ministering arts.
Yeah.
And it's what's led me to this point today.
Yeah, awesome, man. Definitely. So multi-talented is one thing I must say. I think early on when I first encountered you, you were doing a lot more poetry based. I don't know if that's something that you're still doing, because I haven't seen much poetry come from yourself, but you were doing a lot of poetry, some acting for sure. I definitely know that. And you was even pitching films when I was still working for a record label, for Zoe Records. I remember pitching films and stuff like that. So just multi-talented, man. I guess my question in that is, what has been your inspiration into all these different elements of the arts and creative arts into one person? Like, how do you just manage to do it all like that?
Oh man, how can I simplify my answer? I think for me it's just being blessed with that childlike imagination. Yeah, that just stories just flow out of it. And I think with music, it's you just kind of more like explaining how you perceive reality just from your own vantage point. Yeah. Like, obviously, like, there's some storytelling in that, but it's just kind of like you're speaking as yourself. Right. With a message, you know, that's the intention. And then with other things like acting in a film or a play, whether writing the script myself or not that I've put anything that I have written of my own hand out there yet.
Yeah.
But whether it's something that's just written by you or by someone else and you're working with them, it's just like you are kind of taking yourself out of it somewhat and actually allowing someone to see the real life of a human being actually portrayed on stage, on screen, and to kind of make them personalize it in a way where it's like it's telling parables, shall we say?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way I can put it.
Cool,
so I'll
man.
say just having the imagination, it just has just split into all these different kind of avenues.
Yeah, definitely, man. And in terms of like your upbringing, did you have like your parents, were they into the creative arts? Do you have siblings that were in there? Like, what was sort of like your early influence that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna do music, or I'm gonna do some acting or poetry? What was sort of the environment like for you growing up?
Okay, so I've got maybe a few cousins, uncle here and there who have dabbled in the performing arts in some shape, form or fashion.
Okay.
So one of my dad's older brothers, well, he has a bit of theatrical experience. He didn't stick with it, but I actually remember speaking to him, I think was it the other week, and I just told him, well, just based on your speech, you speak so eloquently, like it definitely helped you be so well spoken. And he's one of the most well spoken people I know. I've got a few cousins who do music as well. I think they got into it around the same time I did. But there wasn't really much communication between us, not for any bad reasons, just is what it is. They found their passion in it as well. And as for my parents, well, on both sides, so in my dad's house, vinyl collections. Yeah, you'll still call them records because that's what you you call them back in them days. No, not even just reggae, like soul, like old school pop, like some of the early hip hop tracks.
Pops was getting it in there, didn't it?
Yeah. He can tell you like, this song has a sample of this song.
Proper
and I can play it to you. Yeah. And then on my mum's side, just CD collections, like early noughties, like late 90s, even going further back, like between what my mum was listening to, what my stepdad's listening to. Like they had a good amount of stuff, mostly R&B, because hip hop tends to be very like even more explicit, the secular side. So we only had exposure to that via like compilations. But yeah, just whether at my dad's house, my mum's house, there was just just pure music always playing constantly. And yeah, me and my siblings and my cousin, we used to put on little shows all the time, like little talent shows, little plays, imitating our favorite artists when we was younger, like all of that stuff. So I think that just really culminated into just the homegrown artist in me just being nurtured.
Right,
and
that
then
makes
of course
sense.
at school you have your school plays, or being at the bike sheds at lunchtime, just going bar for bar.
Trust me, I remember that takes me way back, man. But yeah, you mentioned two different houses. You mentioned mom's house and dad's house. Is that because your parents went separated, or like what was your upbringing like? Were you raised in a marriage, like you're in a married household, or was it single parent situation, visiting father on the weekend? What was that like for you?
So my parents split up, like they were never married, but they split up when I was about 5 maybe. So from that point it was like mum's house during the school week, and then for most weekends and a great portion of school holiday time, like I'll be spending time with my dad. Yeah, it was all good though. Like there's no bad blood between them.
Right.
I mean, and my step parents. I got both step parents as well.
Cool.
I mean, they're amazing. I mean, like they're just very well spoken of each other. So yeah. Yeah,
man, that's cool, man. All right, cool. So definitely there's an interesting story behind, like, obviously at birth, when you was born, you was diagnosed with something, right? So do you want to touch a bit on that, like what it was like growing up with a diagnosis, and how did that affect you as a child up until like now as an adult?
Yeah, So I think it was about, well, it wasn't right at birth. It was age 4.
Okay.
I was diagnosed to be on the autism spectrum. So in my case, it was mild, still high functioning. So with a lot of autistic kids or with Asperger's, to varying degrees, like some aren't as verbal or not verbal at all, or highly verbal. I grew up highly verbal, but I developed my speech quite late.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about 4 that I started like speaking like proper sentences. Before it was just like like babbles.
Right.
And yeah, how it affected me. Well, it didn't really occur to me just how deep it's like. I didn't really autism maybe until probably like around secondary school, like around my teens. You know, when you're more self-conscious,
Right.
and just kind of like taking on certain identities for yourself. And I think maybe around mid-teens, I was just kind of like questioning, like, okay, am I actually intelligent? Like the way that I kind of process information,
Right.
Like took time to understand things and made certain mistakes. I remember saying to my mom, like, I think something's wrong with me, and I was like taking that into account. And yeah, mom, dad, like everyone is just like, no, like you are still special in your own way.
Right.
You know, you're still loved. You know, you are God's creation. You may need to, you know, apply yourself differently, maybe much harder. But you know, you got the means. And my dad is always saying, like, you know, son, you come from good stock.
Right.
You know, you've got uncles and aunties who are doing this and that. If they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
So as well informed as they kept themselves about, okay, like what autism is and like how to, you know, support me, like do their best to, you know, just give me a confidence boost growing up.
Right.
They still didn't let that limit them in just saying, like, listen, like just buckle up, apply yourself, like, come on, you can do this, like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, give it your best.
Right. Now that's massive, man. It's good to have that solid foundation where parents are there, they're supporting you, especially with something as challenging as that. Because obviously you will need a special type of care or like attention to, just in terms of your learning and ability to process stuff, as you're saying. So, how was the school system, or just like, or even like nursery or like secondary school? What did they put in place to kind of support your special needs at the time?
Well, nursery, can't really remember that far back. I just remember, well, kind of being a bit more prone to accidentally hurting someone.
Okay.
And not having the words to just kind of speak out. They just kind of thought like, oh, you're kind of a bit of a liability. Like, I just remember one time, I think I must have done something by accident. And then the next thing I remember, like, I wasn't going to that nursery anymore. That was like, it's just shortly like before the time that I found myself kind of spending time at my nana's house with my mum, and then just having to figure out, so like, oh, mum and dad's not together anymore. But then going to an SEN school, that's where, well, didn't really like know any better at the time. So it was just like, okay, like this environment was just more suited to my needs. So yeah, I was just comfortable there. Like they were just well.
So what
equipped,
age
like,
was this
adapted.
when you had to go to SEN? So did you go to like
this was from like year 1.
Oh, okay. So from primary school.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
from the earliest primary school age, was at SEN school, and then just over time, you know, just there being an improvement, like just an excel in my ability to do schoolwork, like paying attention, like being engaged.
Yeah.
That's when there was a slow transition back and forth between a mainstream primary school and the SEN school, until year 5, like mid-year 5, I was fully transitioning to the mainstream school. Finished up year 6 there, and then mainstream secondary, and just through that process, just had supports teacher sitting by me, just giving me that special attention, that special help that I needed, just to stay concentrated, stay focused, and just help me kind of consider like navigating the work in ways that you generally may not get in a classroom that's full of like almost like 20 kids.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was about 20. Maybe I'm going over it, but we had big classes in mainstream.
Yeah,
so,
I agree, man.
Especially when it came to the culture shock of what mainstream is like. That support was definitely helpful.
No, that's good to know, man. That's good to know that there's things that have been put in place early on to help young persons such as yourself in their developing stages, and helping them to kind of like get into the big wide world at large. It's very necessary, right? And until from there, you're yourself now working in an SEN school yourself right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is a journey in itself. But before we even get through that journey, what was like the transition like? Obviously coming from full support, and now you're in the big wide world where you have to figure it out yourself, and you coming from a person where you know that you have special needs, but you're now in the big wide world. How did you navigate through that?
Well, even like just before I left, school, sixth form, I was 18 when I gave my life to Christ. So from then it was just, rewiring your identity from like various things, whether it be like the autistic kid or the kid who was prone to getting into fights, to you are now a child of God. Like everything else just gets redefined from there. So by that time, and this is just before starting uni, so it was just really a thing of just carrying on with, this is what you have learned. What do you actually want to do when you actually get out there? And just really sticking to that. And just don't be afraid of, acknowledging that no matter how old we get, there's always going to be new things to learn. There's always going to be new things to learn to navigate and just kind of, plan ahead.
Right.
And even right now, I'm still planning ahead. Even like with all the wisdom and the faith and the lessons learned like that God has given me.
Yes.
Still learning, still considering okay, how do I navigate through this? Because you never know what's around the corner,
Yeah.